Perfect. Perfect.
All right, everybody, what's going on? And welcome to today's edition of SWAC Talk. This is the show we cover the SWAC inside and out. I'm your tour guide around the SWAC Seawells, and we are just about finished with our 12-team season previews. Today, we're going to talk Texas Southern Tigers. We got UAPB coming up, and that'll do it for our season preview. So make sure y'all hit those socials: Facebook is SWAC Talk, Twitter SWAC Talk, 76 Instagram SWAC Talk. Make sure you like those, follow those, whatever the case may be. Don't forget to hit the subscription button, subscribe button, subscribe to the channel. Consider hitting the join button to become a member of the channel. Hit the notification bell, hit the like button, and don't forget to comment your thoughts on TSU and their upcoming season. So we're not gonna waste no time, man. We're gonna jump directly into this. Texas Southern was a team who last season kind of came, I don't want to say came out of nowhere, but kind of came out of nowhere and found themselves on the cusp of the West Division Championship. An unfortunate injury to their starting quarterback, Andrew Body, cost them a shot at the SWAC championship game as they lost their last game to Alabama A&M at the end of the season. And this team is hungry, and the fans are hungry. Everybody's hungry. Like I say about Valley, there's an energy around TSU that I haven't personally seen before. They feel like they have unfinished business. They feel like they got food still up on their plate, and they gonna they ready to eat. They hungry. They feel like they didn't finish their breakfast. So they're coming for what they feel is theirs. And when I look at this team coming into this season, I feel like they have a great chance of it. They still have some hurdles to cross. This is a team who, they still are relatively young. They brought in a lot of freshmen in 2021. Those guys were sophomores last year. They're seniors. They're juniors this year. So they're still growing. They aren't a finished product yet, but they are very dangerous. How they respond to certain things, and being on a championship level week in and week out is going to be, to me, the key for this team. Looking back at last season, this team was pretty. This team was pretty solid. Especially offensively. The run game was really great for them. Last season they finished fourth in scoring offense at 25.6 points per game. Defensively, they were at 25.3 points per game, which is definitely an improvement for this team from last season. From 2021. 2021 was a pretty bad defensive team for Texas Southern, so they were able to improve their numbers there on scoring defense, allowing 25.3 points per game. Total offense, they finished the season 7th at 344 yards per game, averaging 5.2 yards per play. Defensively, they were 9th in total defense at 403 yards per game, 5.8 yards per play. The rushing offense was 3rd at 177 yards per game. They averaged 4.3 yards per carry. Defensively, they still weren't great against the run, giving up over 200 yards per game and 4.8 yards per carry, which is the the 3rd highest per carry average in the conference. Passing game, they were 9th at 167 yards per game. They had 13 touchdowns and only 6 interceptions, completed 55% of their passes. The pass defense was 7th at 194 yards per game. 17 touchdowns, 16 interceptions, which led the conference. This team was very opportunistic when the ball was in the air. That's something that you kind of hope you can replicate, but it doesn't always play out that way. 57% completion rate for the opponents. Uh, Defensively, they registered 23 sacks, which was ninth in the league. But they did a great job of protecting the quarterback. They also allowed 23 sacks, which was fourth in the league. Um, Third down conversion rate on offense, they were eighth at 32%. Obviously, that's a number that you want to see go up. You really want to see that number get better. And defensively, they were fourth at 34.2%. So they did a solid job of getting off the field on defense. Also, 34% on fourth down as a defense. So I think that's where they were able to get off the field. The numbers, against the run weren't great, but they found a way to get off the field as a defense, whether that was a turnover or whether that was a stop on a conversion. So they found their way to get off the field. They were ninth in fourth down percentage at 39%. That again, sometimes they struggle extending drives. They struggle being consistent moving the ball down the field with low conversion rates on third and fourth down. Obviously, if you're, that's one thing you want to see your offense get more consistent and better at. They were eighth in red zone offense with 28 of 37 for 75%, scored 22 touchdowns, 16 rushing, 6 passing. They were 6 of 10 on field goals in the red zone. They turned the ball over 5 times, 2 fumbles, 1 interception, and 2 turnovers on downs. They were second in red zone defense, so they allow teams to move the ball up and down the field. They bent but didn't break a lot. They were 23 of 34 for 67%, 18 touchdowns allowed, which is among the fewest in the conference. That's actually the third fewest touchdowns allowed in the red zone by any team in the conference. They allowed 13 rushing touchdowns, 5 passing touchdowns, 5 of 5 on field goals, and they forced 10 turnovers in the red zone, which is tied for the most in the league. So they did a good job on defense in the red zone, forcing 1 fumble and 5 interceptions with 4 fumbles. 4 turnovers on downs, which is the second most turnovers on downs by any team in the conference, as well as the second highest number of interceptions in the red zone. They, like I said, they just found, they didn't necessarily do things the pretty way, but they just found a way to continue to make things happen as a unit. And whenever you do that, you find yourself in great position to win games. That's something that that you see from a lot of teams. They tend to, find a way to shoot themselves in the foot. And I thought TSU was solid last season with improving their defense. I still think the defense needs to take a couple extra steps on this season. Obviously, the run defense is something that needs to improve. This is an offense that returns pretty much everybody. By my count on the unofficial SWAC Talk starter tracker, they returned 10 starters on offense. That's by my count. Obviously, that's very unofficial. And 9 on defense. So they return their team, man. This team, they don't have a winning pedigree, but they have they're starting to have experience, and I consider experience. So they are an experienced team. They return the top rushers, Ladarius Owens, Andrew Body, and Ja'Cory Howard. All 3 of those guys average over 4.4 yards per carry. They combine for 15 touchdowns. Andrew Body is, depending on who you like more. Right now, he's the top the next top quarterback in the league, and he's earned that distinction. I would have loved to see him. I would have loved to see them, let him throw the ball more last season. But receiver was a spot last season where they were kind of shaky. Had to play a lot of guys who they really didn't want to play. You get Jaron Johnson back. That's a great target to have on your offense. You get a guy like that back, and he can be a difference maker for this offense. So you really love to have that back. A guy that's 6'4", 208. A nice target. Gonna be able to make some plays for you. Everybody who played at receiver last season is back. They're a year older. They should be more focused. They should be more ready to make plays and help the offense out, and to, continue to develop that chemistry with the quarterback in the passing game. Offensive line is stacked. They returned 4 starters on the offensive line, so that's another level that's gonna get even better. Like I always feel, continuity with the offensive line is huge. So having these guys play together multiple years, it definitely helps a lot. It's gonna continue to help. So my biggest question mark for Texas Southern right now is depth. And I know, when you're a fan of a team, you always say, oh, we good, we good, we good, we good. Every fan of every team always gonna say they got depth because they have numbers, which they do. Quality depth is the question mark. And I'm not saying that they don't have it, because I don't know every guy that plays, but they need to make, you need to be set in that backup quarterback role, man. The fact that when Andrew Body got hurt against Alabama A&M, your offense it shut off. You could not even pick up a first down, which would have probably helped you win that game if you could have, even if you didn't score on those drives, if you could have, picked up a first down or two, use some clock, and the offense would have been able to continue to click. That would have helped you a lot. To making sure you have that number 2 guy, because there is no competition. You have your quarterback, but if you can have that number 2 guy, that's key. So that you're looking at guys like Oscar Gordon, Shane Lawrence, and Tyson Hill. One of those guys has to step up and take the reins as the backup guy and be ready. I don't wish anything on anybody, because I think, especially when you have a guy who can potentially be the best quarterback in the league, you want to make sure that he doesn't get hurt on a fluke play like he did last season. So you want to make sure you're in good hands just in case behind him. And I say that more so with this team than any other team in the conference, because other than FAMU, nobody else has a returning starter that I feel is just is just too valuable to lose. And I don't wish injury on anybody on any team, but making sure that you're protected in that aspect is very, very, very vital. Another element for Texas Southern that they have that a lot of people may not realize is they have a really good return game. They get it done in the return game. They finished 3rd in the league in kickoff return, averaging 20.9 yards per return, and they finished 3rd in the league in punt return at 10.5 yards per return with a touchdown. So you have the top punt the top punt returner in the conference is coming back. Again, if you watch SWAC Smoke, I'm not going to pretend to butcher his name, so I'm going to call him Sweet Feet Lou. Finished season with 213 yards, 1 touchdown, had a 73-yard return, averaged 16.4 yards per kick punt return, and he also finished 3rd in kickoff returns at 24.9 yards per return. Right up there with guys like Darnell Dees, who I feel like is the best kick returner in the conference. So you have a guy like that averaged 24.9 yards per return, 572 yards total in the return game. That's a very valuable aspect for this team. The kicking game, I think, is gonna be if there's an area that I think they need to, to shore up, is definitely the kicking game. Um, that's vital in games. Like, when you're ascending to the next level, your special teams has to be top notch. You need to be able to, you know, you need to be able to count on points almost anytime you cross the 40-yard line. I think you really need to be able to count on points. Um, that's vital for a team that's trying to make that next step. Defensively, they return again a lot of guys. Linebackers are solid. The D line has some big time disruptors. The secondary, they're considered a no fly zone because last season, they picked off a ton of passes. They lose Isaiah Hamilton, who led the team with 5 interceptions, but you still had a bunch of other guys register interceptions. So that you still have playmakers back there. Having somebody step up into that CB1 role, that guy that's gonna take over one side of the field. That's very important for this defense. Um, I feel like this team needs to, like I said, they need to continue to make plays in the secondary. You got 16 interceptions last season. You may get that many again. You may not. I mean, a lot of times, those kind of numbers can fluctuate year by year. If you don't get that, that doesn't necessarily mean your defense is not good. I think you need to increase your pass rush. I think, with a new defense coordinator, I think they'll look to rush the passer a bit more. Finishing with 23 sacks in the middle of the pack, is not that good. I mean, when you got a bunch of quarterbacks in the league that are inexperienced, you really want to turn up the pressure on them and make them make mistakes and help the secondary out. Maybe shorten the quarterback clock and make him throw the ball at places he doesn't want to. I think this team needs to continue to win the turnover battle. Last season they were +6, so that's really, really good. So if they can continue to do that, because they didn't really turn the ball over that much as an offense. So if you don't turn the ball over and you force turnovers, then you're gonna find yourself in a lot of games. They need to take that next step to being more consistent as a team. And by that I mean they need to be able to handle, they need to be able to handle the highs and the lows of a championship season. You're gonna have those games where you may not play well. You're gonna have those games where you pick up a big win. Can you come out the next week and stay on it? Can you not let one loss turn into two? And they did a pretty solid job of that last season. They lost 2 games in a row twice at the beginning of the season. The other 2 losses, they had a win in between them. So they were able to rip off a 3-game winning streak in the middle of the season. If they can continue to not pick up losing streaks and stack wins and stay consistent and put the effort and the focus into all games that they put into some games, then you're gonna be a team to reckon with. And that goes with my next point. You have to develop a killer instinct. You had games that you really could have put teams away, and you won those games, but you didn't really necessarily put them away. Like Pine Bluff beating them 24-17. That team was not good last season. I think that's a team you should win pretty soundly. You had a lot of opportunities to really rough up Alcorn, but you got out of there with a 1-point win. You lost a 16-13 game to Alabama State, and then you didn't seal the deal against Alabama A&M. So those are games that I feel like you need to have that killer instinct. You need to be able to take out a wounded opponent consistently, not every so often, and that comes with experience. You're gonna get better at that kind of stuff the more you do it, and that's why I feel like this team is on the verge of that. you just you can't have a lot of games where you have inexplicable things happen. You have to be consistent in everything you do because the eyes are on this team this season. So um, I feel like if they can put teams away and make things happen like that, I think they'll be in great shape. So you just have to be able to continue to develop and get better week in and week out. And a lot of it falls on the coaching staff. Coach McKinney, some people feel like he's coaching for his job. Some people feel like he's safe. But if he wants to leave his mark or make his mark, then he needs to have his team ready all the time. They need to be ready week in and week out because they have some games this season on the road that are not going to be easy. So they need to have a different focus because this season, a lot of eyes are on them. So let's look at the schedule for this season. They open up at home against Prairie View. This game is a huge game for both teams, especially since both teams have have a couple division games early on their schedule. You want to start every season off 1-0, but you definitely want to start off undefeated in conference, and you want to have that division edge. The division games don't they don't necessarily win you the division, but they can help you lose the division. By tiebreakers and things like that. So if you can get a leg up on a team and essentially making them need you to lose twice, then that helps you a lot. So the winner of this game is going to come out on the other side looking a little bit better. Obviously, there's a lot of football left after this, but being able to beat Prairie View for the first time in a long time, I feel like is a huge thing that can really push this team in the right direction. And I got TSU winning this game right now. I think playing at home, I think that's going to help them. They have a lot of energy this season. I think that's going to put them in a really good spot for the rest of SWAC play. Now, the next two games are FBS games. I'm not a fan of multiple FBS games. I know, I know why you play them, and I understand it. And they're two G5 games, which is fine with me. I would have liked those to be spread out if you're going to play two, but because I feel like that's going to wreck your momentum coming off for the Prairie View game if you were to win that game. So I feel like you're potentially wrecking the momentum of the season coming off of a possible big win. You go to Toledo. Toledo's always been a tough team. I don't really necessarily know where they're at this point. I don't know. I don't know where they're at this season record wise, but they've been a very consistent program for multiple years. Looking at it, I just want to just curious. Last season they were 9-5, so that's a typical Toledo season. They're a pretty strong team. They went to the Boca Raton Bowl and they beat Liberty. So this is a tough matchup. You can kind of expect them to have, this is going to be a battle, a long trip away from home, and it's going to be a battle. So you want to, hopefully you can maintain whatever momentum that you had coming off of the PV game, and take your chances there. The next week you get Rice on the road. Basically, that's a home game. It's in Houston, so not a long trip at all for you. Rice has been bad for a while. Last season they were 5-8. Again, they were it's Rice. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't know what else to say about it. They haven't been good. They are a team who can be beaten. They were able to go to a bowl game and lost it, but they can. If your offense is clicking, I think you can make this game a shootout and be able to get them problems. Your defense, has to be good. You have to play mistake free in this game. And the last couple of seasons, TSU has been pretty decent in these games. They've been able to score points here and there, and sometimes find themselves in pretty decent position in these games. Where we'll see where they stand with that game. But coming off of that game, you go to Grambling, so that's your third road game in a row. this is gonna be this is a toss-up game. This is one of those games I feel like either team can win. Not necessarily sure where Grambling would be at this point, but I think Texas Southern with their returning talent and the experience that they have, I think they can win this game. Obviously, it's gonna be tough to win in Grambling. It's tough to win in the hole, like they always say. But I think TSU would be able to do that. This is a tough, like I said, this is a tough task because you're playing your third game in a row on the road before a bye week, and you're playing in a place that you haven't won in quite some time. The last time TSU won in Grambling was in 2013. So you just snapped a 7-game losing streak to Grambling last season. So you haven't had a lot of success there. You haven't had a lot of success against this team. So this could be the start for you to get back on track. Like I said, I just don't like those two FBS games back to back like that. I feel like that's gonna wreck your momentum coming out of the Prairie View game. So, that to me, you're kind of establishing yourself. But I think they can win that game against Grambling. They get Lincoln for homecoming. That should be a victory. Anything less than a blowout win, obviously, is cause for concern. So that's a dub. Moving on, you get your bye week on October 7th. October 14th, you go to Daytona to take on Bethune-Cookman. This should be a win. Like I said, we don't really know what Bethune-Cookman is at this point, but I'm picking pretty much everybody to beat them at this point until I'm shown otherwise. The next week, you get Florida A&M in your first test of the toward the end of the season. You have a 4-game stretch of very, very tough games. FAMU obviously is the East Division winner by some. They're going to be a very, very good team. Defensively they're strong. Offensively they should be consistent as usual. TSU can make a game out of this, but I think FAMU wins this game. October 28th, they go to Baton Rouge to play Southern. And that's a place they haven't played in a long time. This group of guys hasn't played at Southern at all. So there's no real mystique for them for that. This is a new trip for them. They've been playing this as a neutral site game the last few years. But I think tides turn. Last season, that was such an odd game. I mean, TSU won that game. They were able to shut Southern out. But when you go deeper into it, the game was more even than it seems. Southern was 0-4 in the red zone, and they turned the ball over 3 times. TSU was able to make the big plays they needed, but this is a place that TSU hasn't had a lot of success. They haven't won in Baton Rouge since 2010. So this is another place they're looking to snap a long losing streak on the road. This could be a very, very big game for both teams. This could be a potential winner take all division game. This could be a game that puts somebody a leg up in the division. I still like Southern to pull out a close one in this game because I just think the tide's gonna turn. Y'all can hold my blue and yellow against me on that one. I just can't. I just need it myself. But in all honesty, TSU has a great chance of winning this game, especially if they're coming in off of a solid outing against FAMU. And that takes you to November 4th at Jackson State. Another game that could go either way. We don't know what Jackson State is going to do. I picked them pretty highly. Some people pick them really low. They're probably going to be somewhere in the middle. This could be a very, very good game. This could be a preview of the SWAC championship game. This could be a big opportunity for TSU to pick up a victory on the road. Having two road games back to back against opponents that you haven't had a lot of historical success against is huge. You know, an opportunity to turn some tides in two games. You know what I mean? This is huge. You know, this is a huge opportunity for you. Again, depending on how JSU is playing, you could find yourself as a favorite coming into this game, or it could be one of those even toss-up games. But I like JSU at the vet, probably in a close one. I like JSU at the vet. I think TSU will be very game, but I think the vet is the difference there. November 11th, they host Alcorn. I think they beat Alcorn again. I don't think that's going to stop Alcorn from going to the SWAC championship because I did pick Alcorn to win the win the West, excuse me. But I think they can beat Alcorn. Alcorn, you know, they drop games late from time to time, and this will probably be that game. I think this game, you know, if you win this game, who knows where you really fall with the way that this season is probably going to go. You could find yourself, you know, with another last game of the season, opportunity to go to the SWAC championship. And that last game is against Pine Bluff, which I know you'll win at home. So this team can go to the SWAC championship. I have them at 6-5, 5-3, but their losses are toss-ups. Their conference losses are toss-ups. I don't think it's impossible to beat FAMU. They can beat Southern, and you know I don't really know where Jackson State is, so that's a game that I think that they can win as well. So you know they can win the division and make it to the SWAC championship game with a really solid season. Those two FBS games that ruins a lot for me with this team. Now, if you were to find a way to win one of those, then it's a great feather in your cap, and it would definitely set you on a good path to the rest of the season. I just don't like those games back to back like that. I feel like they take a lot of momentum off of you coming off of a game against Prairie View. If you win that game against Prairie View, you're gonna have to come back in 3 weeks and regain all that momentum. If you lose to Prairie View, then you're looking at 2 more games, and you're looking at an 0-3 start. So it's dicey right there. I got their ceiling at 8-3. That's basically taking 2 of those toss-up losses and making them wins. I have their floor at 4-7, but I don't really see that because that's basically taking 2 wins and turning them into losses. Probably, I guess you could say Alcorn and Grambling, I guess, Alcorn and Prairie View, and making those losses instead. But I don't see that. I don't see this team finishing below 6-5. 7-4, 8-3 is very, very possible because you know you have 3 games in a row in the middle of the season. I think are definitely going to be treacherous. 2 of them on the road and 1 at home. And Alcorn is not a game to overlook. I think you know they beat them last year. I think they have an opportunity to beat them again. And the same goes for Southern. You know they beat Southern the last 2 years. They can beat Southern again. It's not impossible for that to happen. And FAMU and Jackson State, you know, we shall see. But this team is gonna be in the mix. 5-3 is definitely right in the mix of the SWAC championship, SWAC West Division championship. So I see great times ahead for TSU. I think they are gonna be a team to reckon with. I think this young team, well, they're not young anymore. They're juniors. So they're setting the stage for a possible 2-year run. If they win the West this season, then they'll be favored to win it again next season because they'll be seniors. Now, the key for this program is how you recruit because you need to start laying the foundation for the next season, the season after next, when you start to lose guys, start to fill those holes and have those next set of guys ready to come in and contribute. So it's still a lot ahead for TSU, but I like the Tigers. I think the Tigers are going to have a really solid season, and they're going to be in the mix to win the West Division. So that's going to do it for today's show. Y'all make sure y'all hit that SWAC Talk store. Check out the merch. We got our UAPB preview coming on Sunday. SWAC Smoke on tomorrow. Live 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. And we are rapidly approaching the start of the season. MEAC SWAC Challenge is only like 2 weeks away. So the season is here and we ready. So we'll catch y'all on the rebound. Y'all enjoy y'all evening and we will holler at y'all later. Peace.